Hi, Lenny.
Hi, Nancy.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 21 of the Front Porch Book Club.
The Front Porch Book Club is a podcast that meets twice a month.
We like to dig deep into the relationship between characters and the worlds they live in.
Grab your book and iced tea and join us on the Front Porch.
Lenny, today we interview Anna Lynn Thomas about her book, We'll Laugh About This Someday.
Okay. I just have to say that our first podcast on this book was a lot of laughter.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to see that in our time here with Anna. She takes everyday situations and she just finds humor and fun in it. She says that she's the heroine of her own life story and thinks about that as she's going through her life. She's just a funny person in person, too. Everybody's going to love hearing about her.
I agree. So by way of introduction, Anna Lynn Thomas, she's a humor writer, I guess, obviously, book author, and popular online personality. Her essay about intestinal distress on a date went viral and catapulted her to fame or infamy. She writes essays for her site, AnnaLynnThomas.com, and for various media outlets. Her next book is I'm Not Ready for This. Everyone just calm down and give me a minute. It will be released in May 2022. She has her own podcast, It's Not That Serious, and it's consistently ranked in the top 25 of the iTunes family section. She holds a bachelor's degree in advertising and a master's in interpersonal communication. Anna and her husband, Rob, live in Nebraska with their two young daughters, Lucy and Poppy, and an English bulldog named Bruno. You can learn more about Anna at AnnaLynnThomas.com. And in this episode, Anna gives us a link to get a free copy of this book just because she thinks we could all use a little humor in our lives. Be sure to listen.
Well, great. Let's get to our interview with Anna.
Great. Welcome to the Front Porch, Anna.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Well, we're so excited to talk to you. We loved your book. And when we did our initial podcast, Nancy and I just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed because we identified so much with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write your funny book?
So one of the things that has bothered me for a long time, I've had a website. I've been in the blogging space ever since kind of having your own personal blog first sort of blew up. And I noticed just this trend of worry and anxiety and almost depressive type of writing and lamenting. And it was almost, I hate to say it, celebrated. And a lot of these were mom blogs and they were controversial and people were just almost vapid about co-sleeping or different types of things that just did not matter. And so I thought for a really long time that I wanted to write a book that made people laugh, not saying that bad things don't happen, that life isn't difficult by any stretch, but that there's always room for a sense of humor. And in fact, it can really save you. That's a quote from Betty White that I was just reading. I was like, yes, this totally accompanies, my book where she just says that having a sense of humor in your day-to-day life can save you. And so I was like, that's exactly what We'll Laugh About This Someday is all about. I wanted to talk about how some of the little traumas of my childhood ended up being the things that shaped me into who I am today. I wanted to talk about how some of the most humiliating or embarrassing things to ever happen to me ended up being one of the best things that could happen to me. My greatest fears never came to fruition. And that, there is so much humor in just our day-to-day life that we can choose to find the humor in it, or we can just choose to just let it, depress us and break us, I guess. And I'm in the camp that laughing is way better, way funnier. And so that's really what kind of motivated me to write the book. I just wanted to show that the joy that laughter brings, it really is a salve for the soul. And using my own kind of self-deprecating humor to bring that, I thought was probably the best way to do it.
Well, we really did love your book. I'm not really a laugh out loud kind of person, but I was literally laughing out loud, and I had tears streaming down my cheeks, which also not typical when I'm reading. I think what I really like about your writing is that you're so relatable, and I could so see myself reacting in similar ways in the situations that you found yourself in.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding the humor in those situations that a lot of people would just like to bury because they're just so embarrassed, or they find frightening or irritating or whatever?
Well, I have a really big disadvantage as a writer because when you're a writer, the bad things that happen to you give you content. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, I can write about this. This is a chapter in a book. I had this house party for like my book launch, and it was a disaster. And I was like, as it was unfolding and crazy and women were drinking too much, I was just like, this is a chapter in a book. I mean, it actually made me happy. Instead of being like, this was a waste of my time. I feel disrespected by the way people are acting. It was like, oh my God, the way she's acting is incredible. Like she's a character in a book. And so I do get lucky in the sense that the most embarrassing things that happen to me are things that I can write about and express and bring either inspiration or laughter to it. But I don't think that this is something that only writers get to have. We're really writing, all of us, our life story in real time. I mean, we're all living a story that is our life. And so when we think about it this way, that we are in the process of living out our memoir, what would the heroine do? What is interesting about what's happening to me? What is the climax of what I'm experiencing? And how can I overcome it in a way that makes my life fuller and more interesting? So when you kind of view your life in that lens, it can actually make things kind of fun. And so you may not literally write it down and publish a book, but you can still use the things that happen in your life to create stories that get passed down, stories that you share. And maybe not everything is going to be hilarious, but I can guarantee you that a lot of things are going to be very inspirational. And so it's just a matter of just viewing things in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like dripping special sauce on your newborn's head. I loved that. And then you said, well, this is just the start of many times this is going to happen because I'm not going to give up burgers, Oh, I love that.
Salsa, guacamole, queso. There was a lot of chips and dip because, that was accessible. It was easy to eat. The baby's got lots of food dropped on him. So, yeah, exactly.
Do you pass those stories on?
What's really funny? I happened to meet and become casual friends with Cindy Shupik. She's one of the main writers of Sex and the City. She came out with a new movie called Otherhood on Netflix. And I read her book and I was talking to her about it, and it was hilarious. And I go, do you ever exaggerate the story to make it funnier? And because as a new writer, I was very tempted to do so. I was tempted to make everything outrageous. Mm-hmm. And she was like, no, not at all. She's like, real life is very, very, very funny and very interesting all by itself. And that's a prime example. Like nobody who's like dipping into queso and it drops on their baby's head is thinking, this is hilarious. And so, but it is. Those are hilarious. Those are day-to-day things of life that are relatable and interesting and hilarious that a lot of people don't realize. I don't have to make up some story of me like, I don't know, slipping down a hill and rolling. You know what I mean? I don't have to have some crazy story. Just, me dipping guacamole on my baby. Isn't that?
Well, I think it's because we can all relate to that, going like, oh yeah, I remember those days when you're nursing and you're doing dishes and you're trying to eat and you're walking around the house trying to get all this stuff done. And you do stuff like that. Just so relatable.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we want to hear about Lady Gaga's boyfriend.
You
went to prom with him? Is that right?
I did. So at the time, he doesn't look anything like he does now. I've had some people Google him and they're like, this is who you went to prom with? I was like, trust me, he didn't look like that when we were, 17. Yeah, I went. That story is so hilarious because I want to be clear that Luke and I were not best friends. We were not lovers. We went to prom together. We had fun, but we kept up with each other over the years. And he moved to Brooklyn. He was the manager of this small bar, I think, in the Lower East Side, and he was a real straight edge kid who was starting to hang out with what I felt were unsavory people. I did not know one of those unsavory people was Lady Gaga. Okay, I had no idea. And I was aghast. I was like, Luke, how can you possibly be dating somebody who's on drugs? How could you? Yeah. I mean, because I was just offended. And so I do laugh about this because I did have those conversations with him about breaking up with her and how he knew that that was probably the best thing to do. And then he dumped her. And I just can't stop laughing at the fact, though, that like after he broke up with her, she came out with Bad Romance. She came out with that first album, Poker Face. All of that came from the devastation of that breakup.
That's incredible.
I just love the idea that I have a little bit to do with that. Okay. Yeah. He would probably, if you were to talk to him now, he'd be like, I don't even remember that conversation. I'd be like, Luke, you freaking liar. It was on MySpace. And I don't have the receipts because MySpace doesn't exist anymore, but it happened and you know it. Yeah, so to me, I just think that is just so hilarious, and I love the idea of just taking full credit for her career. Just like, this is because of me. Where's the gratitude? Where's the song about me?
Yes.
She sang a song to Luke, Nebraska boy. How about Anna, who inspired you to dump me and blossomed my career? So anyway,
prom date song, the prom date song.
Right. So I wanted to write that chapter too, so that people could so that she could maybe one day, if like, I don't know, Oprah made it a book club, she'd read it and then find me and we could become best friends. And I could say, listen, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I know that was a difficult time, but it was in your best interest. And then we could bond. And then and then I could be best friends with her. That's really the whole point.
That would be very nice closure to the situation.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it would. I feel like it would be like a full circle type of thing.
I think her forgiveness for your role and her heartbreak would be, very meaningful for sure.
Yeah. And she could just dedicate it all to me and it would make sense. So I think that's what I'm rooting for. Yeah. I'm glad you guys agree.
Yeah. I think it's coming. Yeah.
There's a good chance. There's a real good chance.
Well, let's talk sisters. You have a YouTube channel with your sister Jenny called Jenny and Anna Bake. And we get to know Jenny pretty well in your book. What did Jenny think of playing a starring role in the book?
Well, she loved it. And it's really funny because I really wanted to write about some really amazing stories in book 2, but I just ran out of time. I mean, I ran out of words and I didn't get to some really great chapters of our life. My sister loves it. She has a really great sense of humor. My entire family does. They didn't worry about how badly I made fun of them or what I share. In fact, in book 2, I think I kind of talk about what a really bad hostess she is because she gets really excited to throw huge parties and then the day of resents everybody. Like, it's our fault you invited me over. And I think it's because she has so many kids that she's just so stressed by the time the party arrives that she's like, did you bring bread? What'd you bring? What are you contributing to this? And I'm like, you told me not to bring anything. Should I have bought bread? She's like, yeah, well, we don't have any buns. Okay. So, And I'm like, well, I could have brought buns. You want me to go get buns? She's like, it's fine. And so you're at her house feeling like you're like you invited yourself and you're intruding. Okay. I give her crap for that all the time. Now that her kids are older and many of them are out of the house, she's way not like that anymore, but we make fun of her a lot for that. So I think she loves to be in it, and the stories ring true to her. There are certain things about my heart that she wasn't aware of. You know, I never outwardly talked about how her beauty growing up affected me as a child.
Yeah.
But the fact that she was such a loving and doting and maternal sister really made that okay. What could have been kind of a pretty big trauma ended up just being me more looking up to her rather than resenting her or feeling like I needed to compete with her in any particular way. And so I think that those were new insights for her. But, you know, she loved it. She's my biggest fan and I'm her biggest fan. So it's great.
Does she remember sitting by the pool, stealing all the attention?
From the lifeguard twins, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she remembers stealing all the attention as much as she remembers the twins. Okay. And she remembers my mom sitting on her sunglasses and wearing them. But that was my sister. You know, she's very, boy crazy is not the word, and certainly she isn't boy crazy now, but she was always just sensual and beautiful and done up and covered in, you know, coconut oil, Tropicana coconut oil on the beach, you know? And I've always just been so the opposite. I mean, just, you know, so that's always been a kind of a part of the essence of who she is. But she does remember that. She does remember taking me to those swim lessons. Yeah, and she remembers being all greased up, not even watching my lesson, like not even concerned with it, just catching a tan. So yeah, pretty typical.
She had those lifeguards to look at.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, that's your sister. What about your husband? I think he is a very interesting character in your book.
Yeah.
First of all, that first story of your first date. Oh my God. Like,
I know, it's a killer.
That is just unbelievable. But this guy sticks with you despite all of these.
He does. He does. And I have to say, to my credit, I stick with him. Okay. I'm like, he's a lot of work. Okay. And I've been putting more than a decade into this man, and I'm starting to see the fruit of my labor.
There you go.
He's really private, and he has not read the book. I have no desire for him to read the book. And it's a really weird thing. And if I could put my finger on it, I couldn't. I mean, I still kind of examine that sometimes. He trusts me. There are certain things that I've asked his permission to share. I'm not going to share anything that's very personal to him or humiliating to him. And then I think he trusts me to tell the story in the way I need to tell it. There are times like he's called me out, like he's not on Facebook anymore, but he used to be. And I would tell a story that had happened to us and he'd read it and he'd be like, it didn't happen like that. I'm like, yes, it did. Maybe that's why I don't want him reading the book. Okay. Because his memory is terrible. And he'd be like, I don't think it happened like that. I'm like, it happened like that. And we don't need to fight. You know, I don't need the stress.
Right.
So he's very supportive. He's always made the joke, like, just, you know, make us tons of money and you can write whatever you want. I don't care. So he's very loving and supportive, and he hasn't read the book all the way through, but he does know a lot of the key stories. I've read a lot of the key stories to him. And so, you know, he's just so proud of me and is so excited with this whole process, but he's also very private. So he doesn't speak up too much. I get a lot of people who Google who is Anna Lynn Thomas's husband because of the fart story. And so that scares him a little bit. He's like, oh God, people are trying to find me on the internet, you know, but good luck. Okay. He's not an internet guy. He's not a social media guy. And he's a lot happier for it, I have to say. I'm like, have you been on Twitter lately? The world's going to hell in a handbasket. You know? So anyway.
I love that in your book. The love you share with your family is so clear. Mm-hmm. You know, you share funny stories, but it's so clear the love you all have. Your mom and dad also are in the book.
Yeah.
I felt reading the book, it's not like you were making fun of them. Really, you're mostly self-effacing, and they are kind of contributing to the humiliation or terror or whatever you're experiencing. Although sometimes, like, your mom is really kind of the voice of reason who brings you back to looking at things more reasonably.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom, she's my editor. She reads all of my work. My dad, of course, is incredibly proud, but he has a really great sense of humor. In book 2, I talk about how he has fallen like this grown man, and he has some biffs that are record breaking, and I wrote about it, and he loved it. Like, he was like guffaw laughing. And some woman got really mad at me, and she's like, how dare you make fun of your elderly father like this? How disgusting, and deleting you from whatever. And it's like, sometimes I forget that there are families and people who don't have a sense of humor. I mean, our family sits around the table and we rag, we bring up stuff, and we always know the certain things you don't talk about.
Yeah.
We all know the little sensitive spots and we don't go there, but then everything else is fair game. And you're almost honored. Like, if you get roasted at our dinner table, it's almost an honor. Like, thank you everybody for thinking of me. I know. On the stairs, it was hilarious. And so they're a big part of that, and I get my sense of humor from my dad.
Kudos to him. That sounds like a fun Thanksgiving dinner to me.
Yeah.
It really is. There was one dinner where my mom, we went too far with my mom though, and she left the table.
Oh.
And I was like, Dad, this is your fault. She's like, I'm not the one who said the joke. And then we all like fought over who went too far. That happened one time where we went a little too far on my mom. And so we were always really careful after that too.
Well, I can understand that at Thanksgiving, because there's a lot of work to Thanksgiving. So this probably was too much.
Yeah, she wasn't in the mood to get roasted. Okay, she was cooking, her feet hurt.
Right.
Somebody else. Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize you wrote a second book here. What is the second book you're talking about?
So my second book is called I'm Not Ready for This. I think that it is funnier and more well written. My editor agrees, so that was good. I was like, please like this as much as I like it. Sometimes I don't, and that's no fun. It is really about the times in my life where I haven't been ready, which is literally every time in my life. I've never been ready for anything. I'm never ready for summer because like my arms are like pasty white. I'm never ready to go sleeveless. I'm never ready for like a new job. I'm never ready for like a photo shoot. I don't have clothes. I'm not ready for, when I got the book deal, I thought I was ready until it was time to actually write the thing. I was like, oh God, I don't know how to write a book. I just thought that was like a key piece to this. And so, and I think that's another thing that's relatable. You're not ready for parenting. You're not ready for, there's so many things that not ready to get married. Oh, I was not ready to get married to my husband. I was getting my master's degree. I was busy. There's so much richness and funny stories to just not being ready. One of them, even the benign, my brother wanted to like host all of us for a spaghetti dinner and he wasn't ready. It was the worst dinner of my life. I was starving. The sauce was like, and so there's just a lot of little stories I like to share. And I'm very, very proud of it. I can't wait for it to release. It releases in mid-May. And it's available for pre-order now on Amazon.
Excellent. I'm glad that I'm not the only one who sometimes finds herself not ready. Every year, Christmas comes upon me and I think, what? How did it happen? Yeah. Christmas is 2 days away. And I'm just constantly behind. And I think, seriously, how can I not? It's not, the date doesn't change. Nothing changes. Right. Everyone's talking about it, but somehow it catches me by surprise. So I'm sure I'll love this book too. I'll be able to relate.
You'll love it. You'll love it. I love it. I'm excited for it to come out.
You also have a podcast. It's Not That Serious.
Yes.
What can people expect to find on your podcast?
Listen, the podcast has gone through a journey, and it ebbs and it flows. But what I do with the podcast now, I just have a walking series on it. So for people who love to walk and listen to podcasts, I make you laugh and I motivate you. That's on there. I work the podcast as much as I can. I come out with new seasons. I hope to come out with a new season in the spring. And so I do it. So it's called It's Not That Serious. So you guys can just look that up on iTunes. You'll find that. There's great archives. I used to host the show with Susanna Lewis, who has like a gazillion followers now, and she's hilarious and she's Southern. So those seasons with her are hysterical. Yeah. So right now I'm working on the biggest thing that I'm focusing on is I have been giving We'll Laugh About This Someday away for free.
Oh.
So I've been really excited about this. I want this book to reach as many people as possible. The feedback I'm getting, the tears, the laughter, the feeling. I mean, it's really exactly what I wanted for this book. And I want people to be laughing more. I want them to be relating more. I want them to be happier and more joyful in their day-to-day lives, especially under this kind of climate. And so I was like, how can I get this book out there as quickly as possible? So it's freefunnybook.com. You can get it for free and just tell me where to ship it to you. There's a lot of other extra goodies you get with it when you get the book. And so I've been really excited to do that. And we kept a really easy domain name because We'll Laugh About This Someday is a real pain in the butt to type into your browser. So it's freefunnybook.com. You can pick it up very easily there. And they just tell me where to send it to you. And so this is my way. The book did very, very well. And this is my way of just trying to spread the laughter and the joy of this book as far and wide as possible. And so we just got another shipment. We've got another shipment going out, and I'm trying to keep this going as long as possible. I don't know how my publisher feels about it. They're kind of like, well, it's okay, I guess. I mean, okay. So they're not going to Amazon anymore. They're going, okay, well, so, okay.
And they're not paying for it anymore.
No, and I have not asked. But I do get the book under contract. I get the book for a certain price. And so I took advantage of it. But no, they're very supportive. And they want the word to get out of me as much as possible, too. It's in their best interest as well. And so this has been a real fun promotion. So freefunnybook.com. I'd love for all of your listeners to just go grab your book. Tell me where to ship it. We'll get it out as soon as possible. And you can laugh as much as Nancy and Linda.
Yes.
Okay. That's my hope.
They will. I will put a link on the show notes page on the website to this. So anyone who doesn't want to try to find it on their own, although freefunnybook.com seems pretty easy.
Real easy.
Yeah, but you'll be able to link to it from the website as well.
Wonderful.
Any other projects you're working on you can tell us about?
No, right now I'm just working on getting book 2 out. I will be doing some more touring, I hope, with some more information. You can follow me. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/anna.lynn.thomas. I'm easy to find there. I'm on Instagram. I'm real pathetic on Instagram, really trying to improve my game, but I'm a writer and I'm like, what? I got to put a filter on this. This is dumb. I'm so bored with photos. I just get so bored, but I'm doing my best. Okay. And
so everyone, no criticism.
No criticism. I'm doing my best.
Right.
I have been going live on my page. One thing that I've been trying to do is I kind of have a good word. I have a good word every morning. And so things that are really inspiring or encouraging to me, I want to get everybody's day off with a good laugh and a kind of an inspiring word. I always hate saying that, though. It's kind of like starting a diet. And like you start to tell everybody on the front, you're like, oh, I'm doing keto. And then like a week later, they see you eating a piece of cake and you got to explain yourself. And that's why I'm always afraid to like commit, like, hey guys, I'm doing this thing every morning, because in like a week I might decide it was a terrible idea, but for right now let's just pretend that I'm into it and I'm still doing this thing at 8:00 every morning. Okay, fingers crossed.
8:00.
It's 8:00. Yeah. And so I'm really excited for it though. And then so go to my page, hang out there, introduce yourself to me. If you've read the book, I leave a number in the back. I want you to text me and tell me what you think about the book. I get texts every day and it brings so much joy to my life. So far, they've all been positive.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That is great. How did I not notice that? Okay. I'm going to grab my book and do that.
In the author's note. Yeah. In the back, there's like an author note.
I've got it right here.
There it is. You see it?
Excellent. Okay. Good. Everyone do that. Make Anna's day.
Oh, it makes my day. Big time. And if you didn't love it, just don't feel the need.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be weird.
Compliments only, please.
Compliments only. Common sense, people. Common sense.
Exactly.
One of the things that I really liked what you said was that you think through your book party. This is a scene for a future story that I might have. And then how can I, through my own learning and experiences, draw humor or, put this in the light where it really needs to be. My friends are a little sloshed, my whatever.
Yeah.
And kind of create your life through that. And I think that's really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on the front porch. We love the book, as you have now concluded.
Yes.
And it's just been delightful getting to know you. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. It was an honor to be here. And thank you guys for your encouragement. And maybe I'll come back for book 2. If you'll have me.
Let's do that. Let's super.
Do it.
Yeah, definitely going to get that one.
Okay, good. Good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness. Is Anna funny or what?
Yeah.
And real person.
Right. I loved hearing the background stories of her family's reaction to her writing about them. And
her husband doesn't read her books. That's hilarious.
That is funny.
Well, I'm really excited to read her next book and to have her back. She is really, really funny. And all this self-deprivation, she's quite a beautiful woman.
Well, she really is. I mean, it kind of makes me feel like I should be a little more self-conscious.
I love the family stories. I love that they all sit around the table and just laugh and poke fun at each other. What a delightful person she is.
That sitting around the table and poking fun at each other, or shall we say, reliving humorous experiences, that sounds kind of familiar. I think our family does that sometimes too.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. When it's done in love, it's a beautiful thing.
It is. If a family can laugh together, they can stay together.
Yeah.
All right, Nance. Well, our next book is The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. I have started reading it. Love it. Okay, I say that with every book. But you told me that this would be a good book and we should do it. And I didn't know anything about it. And I started reading it without even reading, what is this about?
Yeah.
So that kind of made it exciting. I'm about a third the way through it, and it really is an interesting book. So I'm glad that you suggested it.
Good. I can't wait for our next episode where we'll talk about that book.
Oh, me too.
Listeners, get in touch with us. Go to our website at frontporchbookclub.com.
Our episodes come out twice a month, the first and third Wednesday of each month. If you like the show, be sure to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts.
Lenny, see you next time.
See you next time, Nance.
Bye-bye.
Bye.